first things that we'd do once we've got gear out, rigged and prepped, is actually set up just a quick little DIT station. Nothing fancy, not a proper DIT station at all, but this is the monitor that we're going to be using during production anyway. It's on V-locks. It's easy for me to just kind of grab it, stick it down here, get my laptop out, and all I'm going to do is just going to quickly grab a little scene. I've literally just put a couple of props in an area where we're going to be filming a lot for our commercial in this kitchen. It's got all the colours, all the palette for the kind of cool parts of the shooting that we're going to be doing. It's set up in a little patch of sun just there, and what that will allow me to do is shoot that chart, shoot that scene, grab that shot, get it into DaVinci Resolve. I'm shooting C-log, so I can correct out that log, and that will allow me to see a more contrasty image during the shoot that's also based precisely on the shooting conditions that we're in, rather than a generic transform LUT. I can also, because I'm creating a custom LUT here, is I can push in a little bit of blue into the shadows, which is ultimately what we're going to be doing in the final look of the film. So I'm able to actually monitor during production with the colour look that we've already planned in pre-production, ready for me to then see that and work with that later on. I'm not going to burn that LUT into the recording. It's literally just for display purposes during the shoot to kind of keep everyone kind of moving in the right direction, and it's particularly useful if I want to then generate dailies at the end. If I'm not editing it, I can burn that LUT in, it gets embedded into the dailies, and so as it's going through other post-production phases, as the director is viewing it or the client is viewing any rushes, it gives everyone that kind of sense of the look that we're establishing, which is really useful, and it's so quick as well. So I'm literally just going to grab my camera, point it down here, just make sure the light, may as well take the opportunity to use the 90% reflectance chip there to set my exposure properly. Just going to record a few seconds of that. That's all I need. Grab the card. Let's pop that in here. Launch Resolve. I can take a look at this shot under the scopes. I'm not grading it at all. I'm just doing a very gentle kind of primary correction almost, pushing a tiny little bit of colour into the shadows just to kind of give us a feel for how that's responding to the stuff that we're shooting once we're viewing it on our production monitor. So I can go into here's the clip here, just chuck that in, stick that on the timeline, come to our colour page. Here's the shot. Let's just quickly pull these shadows down and let's raise, protecting our shadows. Bring that more like that. Just going to come back in here. I'm just going to push a tiny little bit of colour, bring in a little bit of that blue. Let's say that that's where we're happy. So that's the kind of look that we're trying to establish for this. It's corrected out, saturation sitting where it should be. The chart has helped me pin those colours where they should be, although I've done it incredibly quickly, but you get the idea. About 5 minutes work, and you've got a custom LUT, which is based on the gamma curve that you're using, the situation you're in, the lighting you're in, the colours of the props that you're using, the location that you're using. I can even have the freedom to push in a little bit of a custom colour vibe into the image as well, which is indicative of where we're going to be heading later on. And once I've got that, I can simply right-click on my thumbnail. I can generate a 3D LUT from that. I'm just going to stick that onto the SSD for the Sumo. Let's save that as box origin kitchen. I can produce as many of these. It's such a quick process. I can produce as many of these as I want. So I might do one in the kitchen, maybe some wider stuff for the whole room, definitely one for the sea and the sky where we're getting those blues in, possibly one down the beach. So this is kind of the 3 or 4 main areas where I'm going to be shooting for the commercial. So I could just grab those 3 or 4 shots, repeat this process. I can load them into the Sumo for our main sort of production monitor. I can also load them up into the Atomos Shoguns or Infernos that we're using on our various different cameras. And that just allows us to kind of have consistency across all of the shoots. And of course, if we've calibrated those monitors, which we would have done as well, then we should have accurate, repeatable colours across all of the different various devices we're using to monitor. If I just save that LUT, eject that drive, stick that stick that into the Sumo, and then I can just load that up as a custom look. Let's load that in from the file. There it is. You can see the LUT there. Load that up. Job done. So now everything that we send to that production monitor in this kitchen scene, we can check it against that LUT I've just produced and make sure that everything is falling comfortably into the look and the feel and the tone that we've decided to establish into this kitchen scene and the wider film. One of the things that we do need to make sure of is that any monitor that we're using on location, on set, is calibrated. It seems obvious to me, but it's something that a lot of people, they'll buy monitors, they'll never calibrate them. You're checking what you're recording, so if they're off, you could be letting problems get introduced, completely unaware of what's going on. You don't want to be constantly questioning what you're looking at. You don't want to be constantly worrying, is this actually what I'm capturing? And it's such a simple step just to calibrate the monitor. So we're using a couple of different monitors. We're recording onto an Atomos Shogun Flame. I've got a Shogun Inferno here. I've got a Atomos Sumo 19M up on a C-stand just next to the camera, so I can see myself, and we can make adjustments to the background if need be. So, and we were using the same equipment yesterday during our commercial shoot. So we rely on these monitors all the time, and so it just stands to reason to make sure that they're accurate as can be. So I'm just going to show you just very simply what that entails, and hopefully you'll realise just how simple it is and just how easy this process is. On my computer, I'm just going to launch the Atomos calibrator, just a free piece of software from Atomos' website. I'm going to click detect. It's going to detect that the Shogun is connected to it. There are two choices. There's the native brightness, which is fine if you're just doing an individual monitor. There's also a matched setting, so if you've got multiple monitors on set and you want to make sure that they're all equally bright, then you can make sure that the brightness is matched across them. In this case, native is fine. And then there's the color temperature. You want that set to D65 unless you live in, I believe it's Japan, where the white point is different. But D65 is the white point that you almost certainly want to use. All I then do is just choose calibrate. And what it's going to do is it's going to run a test pattern on the Shogun Inferno. It'll be flashing up various different colors, saturated, primary, secondaries. It'll then go through various different graduations from black to white. And they'll be using that information to check the accuracy of the monitor. And what it's actually doing is it's building a display LUT, basically, to iron out any inefficiencies in the monitor, and it will then basically push those colors and contrast ranges where they should be. It updates the calibration data, so this is now sending this display LUT across to the monitor, and there you go, done. So incredibly simple. What was that, 30 seconds? So that exact same process can be performed on our Sumo. We have an Atomos Sumo 19M that we're using, just hooked up to a C-stand. We're powering that from V-Locks. We can move that around quite easily, and I can use that to check, and we can make decisions on our background and lighting. So we're using that again, and we used that really heavily during our commercial shoot yesterday as well. It's exactly the same process, it's the same probe, it's the same software essentially. We're just literally plopping it onto the Sumo and doing the same process to allow it to calibrate, send a test pattern across, calibrate it, and then load up a display LUT to make sure that all of the colours are accurate and contrast is accurate. So the Sumo, the Shogun Flame, which is on the camera, the Inferno here, all of them can be calibrated, and that's just part of my prep. It's just part of what we would do night before a shoot. Charging batteries, you're initializing media, you're prepping your rig, you're cleaning lenses, you're calibrating your monitors. It's just part of the standard procedure to make sure that color is consistent on set as it goes through that production pipeline. We can keep a really close eye on everything and make sure that things are moving in the direction that we want them to be moving in.